This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Good morning, true seekers and true crime junkies. Welcome back to another episode of Hit the Road Jack, Finding the Zodiac. I have some updates, some misstatements we're going to clear up today, I guess, if you will. We're going to cover a little bit from last week, but we're going to go ahead and move forward into some additional murders and some letters and, of course, some solves with Harriet Suchet. So I'm going to start by picking up on the presentation from last week, just to kind of clear up a statement that I had made. When talking about Mr. Hollingsworth, I had indicated that the body was found, which it was not found. So evidently he is still missing at this point. So he went missing in the South Lake Tahoe area. He lived basically on the same block as Donna Lass. His car was found at the Leviathan mine. You can see down here where it's circled and says car. The top is where I indicated a body was found, and it turns out it has not been related to Mr. Hollingsworth yet at this point, but I was being told by the individual who supplied me with this information that a body had been found with 3 bullet holes in the skull. And that body has not been identified yet, but that's her job, basically, is she puts together missing people and remains that are found. So I believe this one has been sent off to law enforcement so that they can, in fact, check this out and see if this is that missing person. So just to clarify, because she brought it up to my attention, that he has not been found and he is still missing, just like, well, Donna Lass is now found. But hopefully putting this together may be a way of finding his body as well. So last week, I discussed an individual that was indicating that there were people who were going to be attempting to make an attack on me in my presentation or engage me in some type of debate where they would try to run me down. And there were accusations that were made that this individual had to remove all her email accounts, dump her Facebook, dump phones, laptops, you name it, because somebody had hacked into her system and was equivocally sending emails that she had sent to me and had not sent to anybody else. They were being forwarded back to her by an individual, and I mentioned his name. So of course, everybody wanted to reach out and say, hey, hold on. I did get messages from them. So Ned Dehan was the one that she had stated she believed she stated the email came from him. The email contained an email she had sent me. So it was basically a forward of something somebody else shouldn't have had in their hands. Now, maybe at this point, after the responses I've received, there's a possibility that somebody is attempting to make it look like it is Ned doing it. I really don't know. What I do know is that Ned reached out to me. So Black Box Online Radio posted on YouTube, hello, my name is Ned. I am the person discussed around the 22-minute mark. I am quite surprised to see and hear these comments. In regards to the allegation of bullying Ray Grant did appear on a show called the Zodiac Killer Debate Files, and that was with a guy named Ross. So evidently, she believes all of these people are in the same group, but Ray Grant did appear on a show called the Zodiac Killer Debate Files, but that is not my show. I also was not a participant on the program. I have never debated Ray Grant about the Zodiac Killer case. I have also never debated anyone in a Zodiac Killer debate. The Debate Files is hosted by Ross Garassi, and he is also not a bully. Ray Grant deleted his channel for unknown reasons. He has never specified. I do not work for Tom Voigt, and I have no direct affiliation with his website, zodiackiller.com. To clarify, I am not a hacker. I don't know anything about hacking and next to nothing about computers. While it is not easy to hear that I have been called a bully, especially because I have even I was not even on the mentioned program. Being called a computer hacker and hearing accusations of hacking into other people's systems is pure slander and libel. While the person who sent the message is clearly paranoid, I would Nanette not to share gossip and rumors that accuse someone of illegal behavior without evidence. In conclusion, please be careful when you share unverified pieces of information on the internet. Now, the individual had sent me the email that contained the forwarded email and the information on it. I was not able to find it in my system, but I need to go back and look a little harder because I do notice that there are many email messages I have not looked at from this person. But a second individual jumped on board and also posted on this same podcast and said, Dirt Poor Richard said, a bad mischaracterization of Ned Dehan. I've had brief interactions with him and he has proven to be quite nice, really, and not at all a bully. He allows people to air their theories on his show and is very open to new ideas. He's not a yes man for anyone's theories and will challenge their narrative and ask the hard questions when he feels it's necessary. That's what a good interviewer does. He's not a hacker that's trying to block people's info. In fact, quite the opposite. He would welcome anyone's info on his show if they feel they have something and can present it reasonably to the listeners. You probably owe him an apology. All right. So Dirtboard Richard says I should apologize. And so that's what I'm going to do at this point. I'm going to take this for face value. I don't want to try and figure out what the infighting is about and who is saying what to who and who is doing what to who, because that's really not why I'm here, nor do I have the time for any of these games. Dirt Poor Richard went on to say that I understand that they were someone else's words. I just disagree with perpetuating a rumor like that, especially when I know who they were talking about and it wasn't Ned. I don't think you meant any harm, but unfortunately, some of your listeners might believe it to be true, which is kind of like the thing that we go through when we're dealing with the Zodiac case. All of these people come out and put out these massive press releases in regards to a fake suspect, and it makes it all over the place. Everybody hears about it and everybody's talking about it, and then nobody sees the 3-second redaction that the news locally puts out stating that the people were wrong. So I get what he's saying about my viewers might hear or see this. So I'm saying at this point in time, you guys, I have absolutely no evidence to suggest he is. It was just a statement of caution to me to make sure that I didn't get wrapped up in a mess where I ended up getting hacked and losing all of my precious files on this case, or getting myself into a debate with somebody who's going to attempt to beat me up rather than beat up the actual evidence, which I don't mind. Let's debate it. Let's discuss the evidence. This is what I've said. Dirt Poor Richard goes on to say, no, I asked him because when he said, I know the person and it wasn't Ned, I thought it meant that he knew the person who was hacking. Turns out he says, no, I was referring to the person who had the guest that removed his content after the podcast. I don't know of anyone who's hacking content. Your show was the first time I've ever heard of it. So Ned has people who are coming to his side to help erase the words that I said last week, or at least have me redact or come back and say that I'm sorry, this is not my intentions is to accuse anybody of anything. I just get a little leery when I'm informed about hacking or anybody doing anything to people's technology. This stuff is expensive. It's not something we want to lose. And just to be a part of this case shouldn't mean that every time we click on a link on somebody's website or otherwise that we should contract some type of a virus that takes down our computer systems. So with that being said, it turns out I received a secondary message, which was basically the same message that we just discussed from Ned Dehan, only this time he sent it to my email directly because he said, since I had learned about your channel, I'd become a weekly listener. I decided to tune into your last episode, and I was rather surprised to a segment discussing allegations against me. I now understand what you mean about allegations of hacking. I wrote this out for the comment section of your show and I noticed a typo in my comment, so I tried to edit it, but it was already deleted. I am not sure if that was you or the YouTube bots. So I will send this to you privately. So he basically reiterates the message that he gave me on YouTube. And my shock and awe over this is there really YouTube bots out there erasing people's comments? If they don't violate any policies, they're not being rude, they're not cussing, they're not just being jerks, what would be the purpose of this one having been erased? I did not actually see anything inside of the comment that would have caused that to violate YouTube's policies, or that it should have been erased automatically by YouTube. So this may answer some of the questions I've had in the past about how I get the email notification from YouTube. I see the comment by the commenter, I go back to YouTube, and I can't find it anywhere. So that is answering that question for me. We have YouTube bots, I guess. I don't know. Careful, guys. Everything is always being redacted around here, and seems like freedom of speech is no longer ours, even on the social media platforms we attempt to post on. So that was that. Now, we do have some good comments that actually came about, like the one from Zodiac Killer Official. I thought this was awesome. He said that reward poster, now he's talking about the Donna Lass reward poster, including the cipher, was created by Donna's family. I'm not sure how he knows this or where the information comes from, but I did ask, people out there to fill me in if they knew. So he's doing that. When properly solved, the cipher is a message to Zodiac to call a phone number and anonymously reveal where Donna's body could be found. Donna's family also put that message into newspaper classified ads, messages in several newspapers in the Bay Area and Tahoe. The phone number, when properly solved, included an area code that didn't exist until the 1980s. That's insane. So maybe the area code existed, but it was only relegated to very specific individuals or companies or entities for maybe state or government. I don't know, but that's interesting that this would have been a reward poster that came out in the 70s, but the area code doesn't exist until 1980s. He says, if I remember correctly, it came out in the 80s. In any event, if anyone has used that reward poster in any capacity to guess where her remains could be located, it was simply dumb luck. Well, Mr. Swearingham, you have dumb luck, as this poster would indicate, because you did actually locate the very location that the skull was found in, and off of a reward poster that should not have been solvable for that type of a message based on this man's information. I also had San Joaquin Valley Transparency respond to me thanking him for sending viewers my way, getting new subscribers for the YouTube podcast, and for being a longtime supporter. And he actually responded back saying, finding the Zodiac, you're welcome. Just so you know, I was stoked to see you uploading again after 11 years. I followed your page years ago. And that gave me chills, because that means that I'm onto something that makes people pay attention. And I'm really just trying to get Jack out there as the best suspect for this. But the fact that people are actually following it for this long and are excited to see that the show is back on and we're presenting the information on Jack just tells me I'm on the right track and doing the right thing. That brings us to additional murders. So right now I've put up a map over here to the right-hand side. This is basically kind of a basic synopsis of Jack's whereabouts in the Sacramento area during these particular years. We also see where Carol Hilburn goes missing, the Zodiac bar. We just finished talking about that with Carol Hilburn and Dee. Benelak and Hikari also went missing from the Arden Arcade area. We have Jack on Auburn Boulevard in 1979. This area actually was taken over by the FBI. I want to say somewhere shortly afterwards, they opened up a new office, and it ended up being on the actual mobile home land in which Jack lived on. I thought that was kind of ironic. I think he would have gotten a kick out of that. He probably knew it too. So whatever purpose they came in, bulldozed that entire area and built the new FBI building at that time. That has now since moved to Roseville on Freedom Way. So they are no longer occupying, as far as I know, the building over on Auburn Boulevard. Now, there was an actual newspaper article that came out with some different composites. These are police drawings of one suspect in the Benelak killing, left, and two suspects in the Hikari murder case. So I was really kind of enamored by the fact that this center one is very much a likeness of the D.B. Cooper composite done by the FBI. So I want to do a cross comparison of that and set them kind of side by side. And then we also have this one over here with this beard, the black hair. I don't know that they stated what the color of the hair was, but they definitely give you the impression that they are all dark-haired individuals. This one has a part on one side Riverside. And then in 1975, I actually found a picture of Jack where his hair had been dyed black. We can see the gray that's kind of coming through. I know this is a terrible picture because it's one of those Polaroid pictures, and it's old and it's scanned, and then I blow it up and it's all pixelated, but you can definitely see the black hair. You can see the part on the side, and he is definitely wearing a full beard, which is not something we usually see Jack doing. We also see the black in his beard, and we see the gray that's growing out. So if in 1971 these murders are being committed and we've got black hair that is growing out on Jack by 1974, 1975, it may be the way he wore his hair after being told to change his appearance and move to another town and find a family. And, the article in the newspaper that told him to go kick rocks and find another place to be. Anyways, Dennis claims that Jack was constantly growing a beard and shaving and gaining and losing weight, as if to be on a constant run to change his appearance. And I do show a lot of Jack's pictures back to back. You wouldn't think that one from the next was actually the same person, but in fact is. We also had some mystery killings, I'm going to say, accidents, whatever you want to call them. It was in 1966 to 1970. They called it Blood Alley. It was a stretch of Highway 37 between Novato and Vallejo, which increased significantly in deaths during the period that the Zodiac worked in California. Jack was stationed at Hamilton Air Force Base at the Novato end of Highway 37 during 1948 and 50. These cases should be investigated for accidents that included a third car that fled from the scene or may have caused the impeding accident. Zodiac claimed that he would make some murders look like accidents, so I think that this is worthy of looking at. Zodiac does not announce that he will tell about his fake accidents or crimes in general until October of 1970, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't committed other crimes that he's not talked about, because it also isn't until this next letter coming up that we see he's taking responsibility for any type of activity in murders down in the Riverside or Southern California area. So just because he didn't say he was going to tell us about them until later didn't mean that he hadn't already committed some as well. This is an article that's written by Paul Avery, whom the Zodiac Killer took personal notice to and wrote the Halloween card to in October of 1970. And it says, Riverside slain in 1966, Zodiac link is definite. The Zodiac Killer hunted for 2 years for at least 5 Bay Area slayings, was linked firmly yesterday to the knife slaying in 1966 of co-ed Cheri Jo Bates in Southern California. Sherwood Morrill, the State Crime Bureau's handwriting expert, said printing specimens on letters discovered by the Chronicle in Riverside police files are unquestionably the work of the Zodiac. Because of the evidence turned up by the Chronicle, police now have leads they feel might soon result in Zodiac's capture. I'm like, wow, they thought they were close. The clue that excites them most is a set of initials, R and H, inscribed beneath a gory poem which Zodiac scratched on a library study desk at River City College. Now, they say scratched, but it is said that he actually used a pen, a ballpoint pen, to write in. It goes on to say Miss Bates was murdered after she left the library on the night of October 30th, 1966. Her killer sabotaged her car and then talked her into accompanying him in the direction of a campus parking lot, apparently with offer of a ride. The body of 18-year-old honors student was found next morning by a college groundskeeper. Poem. Several months later, a college janitor discovered the strange poem. At the time, detectives didn't consider it as being connected with the murder case, nor the 3 letters, which came to their attention on April 30th, 1967, 6 months to the day after the slaying. The letters proclaiming Bates had to die, there will be more, were routinely tucked away with dozens of other pieces of crackpot correspondence in case. Oh, I can't read that word. Either way. The desk ended up in the department's evidence vault. Nobody then took special notice of the fact that 2 of the 3 letters had been signed with a Z. It wasn't until mid-1969 that Zodiac began writing to the Chronicle, bragging about his crimes, and then Riverside investigators had forgotten about the existence of the Z-signed notes. And it does state with the ballpoint pen, it was scratched into the desk. Goes on to say Riverside's evidence was forwarded to the State Bureau of Criminal Investigation and Identification in Sacramento, where Morrill spent 4 days examining it in relation to Zodiac's correspondence to the Chronicle. Late yesterday, he made public his findings. Printing. The handprinting scratched on the desk is the same as the 3 letters, particularly like the one on the envelope, and his handprinting is by the same person who has been preparing the Zodiac letters that have been received by the Chronicle, Morrill stated. This finding doesn't prove that Zodiac murdered Miss Bates, only that he wrote the poem and the notes sent to the Riverside Press Enterprise, the police, and the slain girl's father 6 months later. So I think I really just wanted to kind of state that I am getting information from an individual. She calls herself Kathy Klein. She thinks that they found the Zodiac in Saudi Arabia and that he was just a teenager in school at the time. Well, that would rule him out if he couldn't have been old enough or been in the Riverside area. This is typically how I will rule out a suspect. You have to have proximity to multiple different cases because, like I said, the Zodiac didn't wake up one day, attempt to kill 7 people, write 100 messages to law enforcement, to the newspapers, to not have done it before or to have ever done it again. So there is going to be these baby track records of them actually getting themselves into getting himself up to the nerve to write a 2 and 3 page, sometimes 6-page letter, as the Zodiac did. Oh, they don't have the link. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. Hold on one second. All right, guys. Sorry for the pause in the show. It turns out the link didn't get sent. My guests did not receive. Okay. Send now. My link. I failed to send it to them. Sorry, guys. It's on its way. All right. Let's go back to where we were here. All right. Meanwhile, okay, Riverside Press, Enterprise of Police. Meanwhile, Berkeley police are also considering the possibility that Zodiac may have tried about 2 years ago to attack 2 young girls whose car was mysteriously sabotaged in the same manner as was Miss Bates. The witness, a Berkeley man who witnessed the incident, gave the Chronicle these details. He noticed a man somewhere between 25 and 40 years old. Now that nails Jack because we got to remember he's approximately 40, 41 at this point in time. At old, he guessed, helping a young girl push a Volkswagen near Telegraph Avenue. We know that there is a relation to MK Ultra and Telegraph Avenue. Another girl was at the wheel steering the vehicle. The stranger suddenly became obviously enraged at the intrusion and stalked off. So basically, he got upset because somebody intervened and got in the way, clearly. Hello. On November 30th of 1970, we have Ronald Hughes, who went missing and did not show up to the court appearance. He was found in March of 1971. I was hoping to be able to actually cover this with Nolan. Hopefully he is climbing on as we speak. There we go. Good morning, Harriet.
Hey, good morning.
Sorry about that. I did not realize that you were not included in that link. That's horrible of me. And hopefully
that's okay.
Hopefully Nolan is joining us soon. Did you get a haircut?
Yeah, I believe he is. Yeah.
Yeah, and this next one that's coming up is actually having to do with the Manson family murders. So I was hoping that he was on by the time that happened. Let me just double check and make sure. Oh my goodness. How is your morning going?
Oh, it's going actually pretty good. I was going to try to sit outside, but it was 42 outside. So,
I
so
don't blame
I said,
you.
well, that's not going to work.
I like
But
my
it's
toes
still
warm.
good.
All right, Nolan. Come on.
Yeah, he should be climbing on quickly because when he went to reply to your email, he replied to me too. So I said, okay, good
Oh,
morning,
there
Nolan.
he is. Good morning, Nolan.
Hello.
Sorry, I guess I failed to get that link out, you guys, but
Yeah.
I'm
I
glad
finally got the link.
I'm glad you showed up. What's that? Okay. Well, I'm glad you're with us because I was about ready to climb into another missing person involved with the Manson family, and I thought, I'm not froze. Harriet's not froze. We're not froze.
Do I need to go out and come back in?
No, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
I can hear you fine, Nolan.
You can hear me? I can hear it. You're breaking up, though.
We're not on our end. It must be on your
up
end.
is hard to do.
Okay. All right.
Oh my gosh. All right. So I was just getting ready to climb into Ronald Hughes.
So you're on Ron Hughes? He was a lawyer in the Manson affair. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So on November 30th of 1970, Ronald Hughes went missing and did not show up to a court appearance.
Yes.
His body was found in March. Right. His body was found in March of 1971. He's representing Leslie Van Houten on the Tate LaBianca trial, last seen at Sespe Hot Springs in Ventura County. He was found at Barker Ranch, Inyo County, almost 150 miles away and north, wedged between two boulders. His Volkswagen was found. Psychiatric report on Leslie Van Houten was missing from his trial transcripts, and the Manson family claimed first of the retaliation murders. I remember reading that there had been a phone call, I think, or something to tell the authorities to look behind a shed on Barker Ranch for the body, and that's basically where they found it. And if people aren't familiar, Barker Ranch is one of the places that the Manson family actually housed their Scientology people, right? Or I'm sorry, Scientology housed the Manson family members who were part of Scientology. Do I get that right?
It's connected.
What's that?
I said it connected to Scientology and ranch. Oh my God.
Oh, I'm getting horrible reception from you now. I don't know what happened. You were so good a second ago.
Okay, well, Nolan's back.
Oh, and now all of a sudden you're clear.
Yay!
It's going to be one of those days.
Yeah.
All right.
It's interesting. You said that he was found in between two boulders.
Yeah, I knew you were going to get a kick out of it.
I picked up on that one. Two boulders.
I was just discussing that somebody, I remember reading somewhere, somebody. Yeah, but you're fine now. I can hear you. Can you hear us?
I feel like we're doing an old ATT commercial. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I want to break out with Manaka Kapise.
I can't see you or hear you.
You can't see us?
Maybe it's for the better. I may have my morning face still.
Can you hear us, Nolan? Something is going on with his internet. I am not getting any response when I talk. All right. Anyways, so the dump site near the former mansion compound is up here at Barker Ranch, and Sespe Hot Springs camp is down here to the left.
It just sounded like the devil was talking.
Maybe I am.
Coming back in.
It's the devil's game. Ooh, that was kind of wicked.
Okay. 666. Jack, I'm bringing up 666, the angel number. Anyways, go ahead.
The abduction site is almost 150 miles from where the body is found. This rules out the body being washed downstream due to floods. Did law enforcement really want us to believe this? So evidently there was some information out there that was stating that the body had washed downstream when it was found up at Barker Ranch, or at least that's what the information I researched is telling us. So I went on a little bit further. Do you know who this guy is, Harriet?
What's the guy's name?
He
looks familiar, the guy's name.
I know. I feel like he was like All in the Family with Archie Bunker, but I could totally be
God.
wrong.
Oh, it looks a little like Rob Reiner, but no, it's not Rob Reiner.
Okay, yeah. Okay. No. I was feeling like
Rob Reiner's been taking a beating a lot lately, but it does look like Rob Reiner. Oh God.
So I'm a little concerned, and that's what I wanted to.
The Manson family, come on.
Right? I wanted to work out some of this information with Nolan because this is what I read and researched. I'm a little concerned about the backstory on Ronald Hughes going missing because purportedly Manson had Hughes killed because Hughes defended Van Houten with a cult control defense. But the girls wanted to testify they committed the murder and Manson had no part of it. Hughes would not allow his defendant to testify, and neither would the attorneys for the other girls. So are you familiar with that, Nolan?
I'm familiar with that. I don't know that. I mean, he died under suspicious circumstances, but it was basically he was up in the Ohio Valley, and I think it was camping, and there was a flash flood that came through, but then the other details about his car and his papers, and they were found in a different place where they shouldn't have been. So it's really odd. The circumstances were really odd.
Well, and like I said, I remember reading
there was a dispute over tactics too.
What's that?
But as far as I remember, there was a dispute over trial tactics. Like you say, the girls wanted to testify and he didn't want to. Yeah. But he was doing a good job. Everything I've read is that he was a pretty good lawyer.
Right. Evidently, he wanted to go. He wanted to defend them with a cult control defense, but the girls wanted to testify they committed the murder on their own and that Manson had no part in it. Hughes would not allow his defendant to testify, and neither would the attorneys for the girls. So we have girls that are willing to testify to committing the Tate murders themselves, not implicating Manson, but someone wanted to see Manson go down either way. So, I mean, the fact that they kept pressing their own clients for a cult defense when they were willing to testify that they committed them on their own accord tells me somebody must have been specifically after Manson. Evidence supports Manson wasn't there, but he was convicted as a handler or a controller. I thought it was extremely interesting that the entire plea from the Zodiac was that control he was under with the use of LSD and acid. So there is that similar type connection. And Manson comes off like he's a little crazy, like he's done a bit of some acid himself.
No, he studied mind control. He was the government taught him in federal prison. He was doing mind control in federal prison already. Experiment.
Oh yes, that is one of the places that MK Ultra took place. Psychiatric hospitals, prison inmates, military, college campuses with co-eds and students, socialites, any place that they could dive in where they could get more information, they implemented the program.
And the whole Bay Area, especially San Francisco.
Right. Yeah, Telegraph Avenue, everything that was going on. Yep. So if Hughes refused to defend a client who is being pushed out a window and Manson told the girls not to testify to his innocence, then how does the media's portrayal of Hughes killed by Manson family for trying to turn Van Houten against the group when Hughes and Manson were both publicly against the tactic?
It was actually a pretty good strategy to have the girls take the blame, and Tex Watson, of course, he was a shooter and he was the kingpin. But because Manson didn't actually kill any of those people. He was there at the La Bianca house and he tied up the La Biancas, but he didn't kill them, and he didn't kill anyone at the Tate house either.
That's just insane. So in other words, it makes sense. It makes sense that Hughes was killed by Manson members for segregating his client from them.
I don't know if I buy that, but I know. Strong possibility.
The whole thing just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, Manson gets
Yes,
hemmed
no,
up
it's
for
very.
being part of a cult. The attorney's defense is that these girls were controlled by a cult. The girls wanted to testify they weren't controlled by anything. They did it on their own, and that Manson wasn't part of the killings. So I'm just a little confused on why they would try or attempt to go with a cult control defense. Either way, we have a good attorney, like you said, that comes up missing. So is this, I didn't know who this guy was. Is this the attorney that went
I have no
missing,
idea on
Ronald
that.
Hughes? I don't know why I have this on here. I'm guessing I
So-
must have gotten it, but
Yeah,
Go
that
ahead.
must be Ronald Hughes. That must be Ronald Hughes. Yes, I would think so. Yeah.
so it makes far more sense
I'm
that
just-
Hughes was killed by whomever wanted
Mhm.
Manson convicted for these crimes, because Hughes wanted to segregate Van Houten and wouldn't allow her to testify to Manson's innocence. Who was interested in the demise of Manson is really where that gets me to. And maybe he had grown a little bit too big for his britches as far as Scientology was concerned, and that his ordered hit of the Tate murders violated some man-made laws. When I say man-made, I mean like in Scientology, they handle their own laws. They handle their own punishments. They handle their own people.
As
Wow.
late as the day before the murders, Manson was up in Big Sur at the Esalen Institute with doing seminars and whatnot with a underage girl.
Wow. Well,
Big
also
Sur?
Tate
Oh
being
my
married
God.
to a movie magnate and pregnant is very reminiscent of other murders like Shepard, McDonald, and the other pregnancy killings where it appears as though there may have been another intended victim other than the one who died. So it was meant to hit personally at someone else through a family member or a wife or a pregnant girlfriend or whatever it might be. That brings us to pictures of Jack in 1970. Jack. Look at Jack. He looks so different every time in every picture that I see him in. This is pictures with him and his daughter at Christmas in South Lake Tahoe. So we get to see them in front of the Christmas tree. We get to see that it's snowing outside, but he's definitely making his presence known in South Lake Tahoe at this point. It is unclear.
Even if he
Yeah,
smiles,
he
he's still sinister.
Hey, creepy.
Yeah.
So on February 22nd of 1971, Sharon K. Wilson from Concord, she was on her way to Humboldt State College, a co-ed. Her body was found at the mouth of Mad River near Arcata, 200 miles north of Napa, stabbed to death. Philip Mitchell Kohler was charged with the crime. I don't show no victims listed for Concord on the Betts map, but could be a Eureka connection as far up as that is. And we do know that there is some Eureka connection, especially with the Adams letter. We're going to see a little bit more, including the Ketty cabin murders and things that happened or occurred in that particular area. But I think that this may or may not have also been associated with the Santa Rosa hitchhiker murders. On February 26, 1971, Linda Keynes, 2 miles south of Angwin, 27 miles north of Napa, California. So again, back in that Napa area where Hartnell was. They were a PUC student again. Body was found in a ravine covered by logs and debris, just like Marie Anstey, 250 feet from the car off Howell Mountain Road. The car was unlocked with small portable radio still playing in the front seat. There is a radio relation. I believe that Jack's radio license is expired by 1971. The purse found inside of the car, bra found neatly folded and lying on top of her windbreaker a few yards away from the body, which is kind of like the laundry murders and coats that I've been tracking throughout these crimes. Parents, Mr. and Mrs. George Keynes, work at Porterville State Hospital. They are supposed to show up for a job at Meadowood Country Club near St. Helena, or she was supposed to show up for a job at Meadowood Country Club near St. Helena. Her found near her body was a 48-star American flag, 2-gallon fuel can with a residue gas and oil mixture, half a military barracks bag, and a length of manila rope. I told myself to research and fill in the Walter B. Williams, the woodcutter, is a suspect. So they say Noose killed Linda. Napa, a wire was found tightened around the neck of Linda Christine Keynes, 20-year-old co-ed, whose body was found Friday. Sheriff Earl Randall said, on Saturday. Although she had been murdered, he said the specific cause of death will not be determined until an autopsy report is made. The body of Miss Kane, Pacific Union College student, was found covered with logs and debris in a ravine about 2 miles southwest of the campus at Angwin. She had been missing a week. The girl's body was found about 250 feet from where her car was located off of Howell Mountain Road. She was first missed when she failed to show up for her part-time job at Meadowood Country Club. About 500 students and faculty members from the college joined in a search of the brushy hills around Angwin. A renewed search by deputies discovered 1 foot sticking out from the ravine debris. Officers said there was no connection between the death of Miss Kane's of Porterville and that of another co-ed, Sharon K. Wilson. The body of Miss Wilson, 20, of Concord and Humboldt State College co-ed, was found last Tuesday at the mouth of the Mad River near Arcata. Arcata is about 200 miles north of Napa. Philip Mitchell Kohler, 18-year-old dairy worker, is charged with stabbing Miss Wilson to death. I don't have any information that suggests whether or not they were able to secure that conviction and that he was actually imprisoned for this. It just kind of goes blank at that point.
Well, just on the onset of seeing all this, it looks like that is quite decodable. So this is probably going to be on a very near future list to do that. Nice. Because I know I've done Marie Onstay. And Marie Onstay, he has his reasons. But anyways,
right.
So here we are.
Well, that brings us to the March 13th, 1971 Los Angeles letter that was mailed stating that there were 17 minus 17 or plus. Or I would look at it because he's always put the hyphen in there, even if he put a 0 for the police department. So I look at that like 17 plus victims. This letter purports to be written 9 days previous to the Donna Lass card on March 22nd of 1971, which states 12 victims. So that must mean that the Zodiac is taking credit for the known murders of 5 people that were found. There are 5 murders between the Halloween's number 14 and this letter number 17 that I was able to track. On March 31st of 1971, Stephen Dewhurst writes in his book about Gladys Gresham in Vallejo. I do have that information that we're going to come up on, but let me read this letter from the Zodiac. This is the Zodiac speaking. Like I've always said, I am crack proof. If the Blue Meanies are ever going to catch me, they had best get off their fat asses and do something, because the longer they fiddle fart around, the more slaves I will collect for my afterlife. I do have to give them credit for stumbling across my Riverside activity, but they are only finding the easy ones. There are a hell of a lot more down there. The reason that I'm I hate when I can't read his writing. The reason I am writing to the Times is this. They can't bury me on the back pages like some of the others. SFPD-0, Zodiac-17 plus. This letter was actually accepted in the FBI FOIA files as an accepted letter. And I think I want to go ahead and do your solve before I read my information. That way we can get it in because we've only got about 7 minutes. But Harry, you have done a decode on the airmail envelope, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Shall I read it to you? Because it's pretty.
Yes.
Well, the airmail envelope came out as, it just says,
oh no. God, guys.
Someone's messing with us this week.
Why? She believes that the airmail envelope actually says, I kill last, State Line, Nevada, who get Darlene to shoot Attorney General Kennedy, got to get Hoffa next. So it was evidently a very short message, in which case he's already now taking claim for having killed Lass, which this coincides. It comes after Lass goes missing, and he's now stating he's already killed her and that he has to get Hoffa next. We do know that that's going to happen.
We've long suspected that he was responsible for Lass, and the finding her skull near where he lived is good evidence that supports our thesis.
Right? Exactly.
And that's recent. That just happened, a month ago. So
yeah. All right.
How weird is that? About to read it.
You want to tell us? I know we just covered that. You want to tell us what your take on this is?
that he's saying that he did kill Lass at State Line, Nevada, near the roundabout, because she helped get Darlene to shoot, his boss, the Attorney General Kennedy. And then he's saying that they got to get Hoppa next as soon as possible. So that's looming the next couple of years.
At the time Kennedy was killed, though, he wasn't an Attorney General anymore. He was a senator from New York at that point.
He's still calling him. He's still calling him the Attorney General.
Yeah. Technically, he was a senator at that point.
So,
and
so that's
presidential candidate, of course.
Well, and I know that we talked, Harry, you had mentioned that you thought that the letters you have been decoding were being misrepresented to us as being a 1969 or 1970 letter when it was really a 1974 letter. But recently you discovered that what's happening in 1974 is he's recycling these messages. Can you explain to us? Can you explain to us why he's recycling them?
It looks like some of them were part of a plan A because of what they were originally doing that goes back decades. And then something is happening, especially under Nixon. And so they're recycled quite a few. And
well, you told me that you believed that he was recycling them because he's now trying to get Ford up to date after Nixon's out of office.
That's what I got. That's what I got just recently. Ford is now the vice president in late 1974, but just when Nixon is resigned and quits, that's what I'm seeing. I got some amazing work coming.
All right. Well, let's go ahead with your solve on the actual letter. So you did a grill cipher of the LA Times letter, correct?
Yeah, that one actually didn't take me too long.
Okay, can you read that? We're down to about 4 minutes.
Oh, sure. It's basically saying, last now a big, dull RNC men cool rock state line Y. So,
tell us what that means.
That's the roundabout.
No, but you then broke that down. Tell us what all of that actually means, the full message.
Oh, is it going to be that it's state? Okay. Last now a big national committee, Republican National Committee men walk state line Y at the East Line roundabout area. So he's saying again, I'm seeing several times, she's a big rock there.
Gotcha.
At least at one point.
So it's just basically repeating messages that we have discovered in other solves, correct?
I believe that's it. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead on then with the information I have on this particular letter. Crack proof is what Zodiac thinks he is now, even though he knows there was no intentional solve to the 340 cipher. The unusual reference of fiddle and fart around, Jack is from Texas, salt beef and fiddle fart around are things that are well known in, it may even have emanated from Texas. I don't know. He admits to the Riverside activity. He's upset because he wasn't on the front page. The count is now 17 plus, leaving you guessing who. He confirms link to Riverside activity in this letter. He claims he's crack proof. He talks about the blue meanies. That's going to be a theme in future communications. He says, get off the fat asses, which is like the gold mining greeting card of your ass is dragging. So we know there's a definite connection there. Fiddle fart around being a Southern reference, and we're only finding the easy ones.
And the blue meanies, he gets that from the Beatles' Yellow Submarine.
What's that?
Yellow Submarine, the blue meanies were cops.
Oh, gotcha. So Tim Miller and so only finding the easy ones alludes to Tim Miller and the Zodiac, and for all those that go missing to never be found, there are a hell of a lot more down there, which is more reference, which is consistent all the way back to lipstick killings, which concludes that 17 is not the true number. Author doesn't like being buried on the back page like others. Like who? The patsies and the suspects. So I did list out all of the different.
is the
There's
Swindell,
always.
and then the couple from Lompoc too.
There's many
There's
more.
at
He
least
says
4 others
others
there.
and more. He says
Yeah.
others and more since 1945 in his
Excuse me.
communications.
Yeah.
I did break down the letter, the spelling errors and the use and who he sent it to, that all of the systems were the same and consistent with everything that we have in the Zodiac communications. And that pretty much ends it for us today, you guys. We are out of time at this point. I want to thank you both again for being here. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody, and you guys have a great day. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye. Love you.